right, I have to say it. I have to put it out there. The truth about NFTs is that not all projects are going to be successful. And in fact, a lot of them fail for these same reasons. It's really important to get everything right about your project and not just slap something up there and not think about it again and go about your day. So today, I'm going to be straight up honest and show you exactly how NFT projects fail and what you can do about it. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a metaverse marketing strategist, and this is the best place for you to learn about NFTs, the metaverse, and how to market it all. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment to let me know where your project is now. I would love to help you pull it into the spotlight, and let's get started. So first, to understand this, let's talk about the state of NFTs. There are thousands of NFT collections trading on platforms like OpenSea right now, and most of them, frankly, are exactly the same. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not saying that they look the same. There are a lot of copycat projects out there, that's absolutely true, that are trying to feed off of the Bored Ape success or the CryptoPunk success, but what I'm actually saying here is that the function is the same. At their base level, the vast majority of NFTs are art projects. They also have a low floor price that never really increases. And beyond the art, they don't have much of anything else to offer. No utility or function beyond the image itself. Now that might not sound like a big deal. I mean, after all, since the inception of NFTs, they've mostly been about the art, right? And yes, that is true, but the space is starting to evolve, and people need them to go beyond being simply pretty to otherwise being useful. So let's dig into a lot of these factors right now to understand this a little bit better. And so in order to get into these specific things, I think it's important to split all of these little factors into two different categories. We're looking at short-term factors and long-term factors. So short-term are things that happen just after launch, and long-term is the rest of the project after the launch, okay? So the reason that we're going to split this up is that most people assume that everything is relatively short-term when it comes to NFTs. You just get your project rolling and it's going to go on forever. But the truth is that so many projects open for sale, spike in price, and then drop down almost immediately to the launch price or even lower. And the reason most projects do this is because they stop thinking about the project after they launch it. Those people are not thinking like business people, they're thinking like artists that made a sale. So Bored Ape Yacht Club, for instance, they're still trending super high. Why is that? They didn't do the spike and drop. It is not a fluke. It's trending because there's a long-term plan involved. They've announced their own crypto and a metaverse associated with the Bored Apes. So they didn't abandon anything after launch, and that is the first most important thing. You have to come up with a plan that's going to keep things going forever. You have to think of it like a business. All right, so the first thing to talk about here is social media. Basically, everybody knows that social is important for anything, which probably means that for your NFT launch, you already have a social media plan in place. But the thing is that most NFTs think that it's just a place to slap up your NFT images and go, okay, job done, and move on with yourself and go do something else. But you actually need to go deeper than that. Because with social media, the people that win are those who can not only build a following, but turn that following into sales. Social is ultimately good for two things when it comes to NFTs: building hype around your launch and building your community. But to expect that people are gonna just flock to your newly formed Instagram and Twitter account and start heaping praise on everything that you do is frankly just ridiculous. The only way that that happens, that you get all of that praise, is by clearly laying out the right plan to start attracting the attention you want. And the best way to do this right now for most projects is one that most people are not taking advantage of, and that is influencer marketing. So here's a quick and dirty rundown of influencer marketing. You're looking to find people who are already established in this community and who already have a following. But you don't want just anybody. For instance, an account like this one is mostly just farming NFTs for other pages. Their following is largely those creators and maybe some buyers and sellers in the community that aren't really actually gonna buy from them or use them as a resource in any way. Instead, you want people who are providing the actual value to this community. So an example, for instance, is Mr. Fungible on Twitter, aka NFT Times on YouTube. He talks about where NFTs are going, interesting projects that are coming up, investments in the space, etc. So how do you identify the right influencers beyond just the content itself? You need the right metrics. So the right metric here is engagement rate. So if we look at Instagram as an example, the engagement rate will be the likes plus the comments plus the shares plus the saves, all of that kind of engaging information. You're going to actually count those things out on the post divided by the number of followers you have. A higher rate is better. You're going to expect a higher rate generally on accounts with lower follower numbers and a lower engagement rate generally on accounts with higher follower numbers. So for instance, Kim Kardashian's Instagram page, let's say she has a 2% engagement rate. That's probably pretty healthy for her several million followers. But somebody who has 1,000 or 2,000 followers and is getting 2% engagement rate, that's not really that good, because that means that the people that they do have aren't really that interested. One more thing I want you to keep an eye out for on influencer marketing here is look at posts with hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored in them. If you see that hashtag, you want to look at those engagement rates specifically compared to the posts that do not have those hashtags. The reason for that is that most people who are sponsoring a post will put those hashtags in there. And what you're going to see for people who don't know how to run an ad is that the engagement rate, generally speaking, for those posts with ads is lower, because those people don't know how to run ads and people don't want to be advertised to, right? So you'll see the organic posts are much higher, they do much better. These posts are getting much lower engagement. You don't want to work with those people, because those people are not going to give you the results that you want, because their base can identify the ads that they're putting out. So this is a really, really vital area. If you aren't doing it, it's a huge reason your project is probably struggling. Next, let's talk about quality. So this is a huge reason that projects fail, but let's be really clear what I mean by quality. I effectively mean that your project isn't pretty, it isn't good looking, it isn't enticing at all. Now, I know that quality or attractiveness really only applies to a subset of NFTs, that being art, play to earn games, that sort of thing, but it is still a very important factor to consider. And I know that that doesn't sound very kind, right? But the flat truth is that people are attracted to art that is artistic, right? That actually is attractive to them, right? And so artistic ability still plays a huge part in NFTs today. It's just the truth of the matter. A lot of people are seeing projects like the Lazy Lions or the Pudgy Penguins, and they're seeing that standard like shoulders up look and that algorithmically generated final design, and they're going, oh, I can do that. But you can actually violate quality in two ways when you do that. So first, your project, unless you actually are an artist in the real world, might not really have any artistic value to it. And I know that art is subjective, but Pete Mondrian didn't get famous for just slapping a bunch of colored squares on a canvas. His art is celebrated because it's beautiful, and he trained and he practiced and he experimented to send his style in that direction, and people responded to it. But equally as important, and this is my second way that projects fail quality testing, is the art's uniqueness. It's not completely unique. So let's bring this back to NFTs for a second. We know that we've got a standard look now, that bodiless avatar I just described. If you're drawing something without the artistic ability to back it up, and it's another anthropomorphic shoulder-up animal, is there any quality to the work at all? Now, I'm not saying
your work is bad and you should feel bad, go stop drawing forever.
I'm not saying that. Keep doing you, you beautiful person. I'm saying that creating a project that people consider valuable for the art itself is vital to its long-term success. So why is quality important? Because while, of course, you want your project to sell out as quickly as possible, you also want those purchasers to buy and hold rather than buy and flip the project. Now, the vast majority of the market right now is buying and flipping. That's just what's happening. And that's also how you get projects like Mechaverse that sells out instantly, spikes really fast, and then drops almost immediately back down to its original trading volume, and no more trades really ever happen at that same level. So what you want is for people to buy and hold, because that's going to show the actual value that people find, which will also drive up the price of those pieces that are for sale. And meanwhile, those people who are holding are going to feel more engaged and part of the community for longer. But what you're going to see again is that to buy and hold really comes down to whether people are valuing the project as art as opposed to something that's a quick tradable investment that they don't have to worry about anymore because they made their money and they can move on. Okay, so what if you're like me and you have no drawing ability at all? Well, lucky for you, there's another avenue we can take, which is project utility. And believe it or not, this is also a place where most people are failing. The appearance of the project is very important, don't get me wrong, and more people are going to be attracted to a project for its look, but at the same time, most of those people are starting to ask what this project can do for me besides look pretty. Art is fantastic, and it proved the efficacy of Web3 generally speaking, but now we want our unique digital stuff to do something for us besides look pretty. And that's what utility is. So you can check out this video for lots of details on NFT utilities. Effectively, if a project doesn't have a utility, they don't have a function beyond the appearance itself. And again, that has worked for a long time. But even old school projects like the Bored Ape Yacht Club are seeing that more is needed now, which is why they announced the metaverse space and ApeCoin. They're doing things to add utility beyond what they already have as a highly valuable art project to draw that continued interest in the project and keep those prices high. And if you don't add your own utility, it's going to be harder and harder to compete in this field. Okay, so now that we understand all of the ways that NFT projects are clearly failing, we know we can pull ours back from the brink, right? Well, I think we need to ask one more question here. When is it too late? First, I want to be really clear that just because trading slows down on a project does not automatically mean that it's dead. There could be a lull followed by another spike, and that even happened to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. They had a spike at the beginning, a long lull, and then another spike, and then another lull, etc. And it just kept on going. When you know it's dead, however, is pretty straightforward. It's going to start with people continually undercutting the floor price, that being the lowest priced item available in your collection. That trade volume is going to decrease, and at the same time, people are going to be spending less and less for each piece individually. But the real final blow happens when the gas fees cost more than the price of the NFT. The reason is also pretty straightforward. Nobody wants to pay more for gas than they do for the piece itself. Which means that there's actually some good news here. This is a positive, because it means that it ain't over until the gas becomes too much. So just keep going. So yes, there are lots of ways for projects to fail. There are so many of them, but I hope that this helped you to start to see all of those opportunities that were inside of those points of failure. I really was trying to show you that not only are these the ways that people fail, but they're the ways that you can succeed. So let me know if this was helpful for you, or otherwise how you think you can pull your project into the spotlight and away from the brink. I would love to help you out, even in the comments. Otherwise, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.